La Lanterna, a spotlight in Italian football, is a podcast that dives into the beautiful game seen from the eyes of two fans from the oldest team in Italy's point of view. My name is Fabrizio Cardone, Canadian and Genovese, together with my friend Matt Killen, an American-born and Genoa fan. Every week, we'll tell you all you need to know about the only team you need to know about, Genoa CFC. Plus, we'll have guests and provide updates from around the magical world of Italian football. Benvenuti, everyone. This is episode 41 for La Lanterna podcast. This is Fabrizio with you alongside my best buddy.
Hey, Matt. It's Matt. Fabry, how you doing?
I'm good. So we actually are here to talk about match day 27 for Serie B.
Yes.
For us, we are recording on the exact same day that the match went through. We talked about we're going to have two express episodes this week. The first one didn't turn out to be so much of an express episode, but hopefully, at least I think we're going to be able to stick with the express. What do you think?
To be determined. But I think we can get it there too.
All right. So let's just dive into it immediately. So today was a tough day, if I may say, on all fronts, if I have to. So if it's okay with you, I think I wanted to open up with the actual fixtures for match day 27.
Sure.
And then we can dive into our just shuffle it up a little bit. But
yeah.
Essentially, match day 27, we were looking forward to, get a little bit of consolidation about the second spot and whatnot. But not saying that we lost the second spot, because that's absolutely not the case. But we did have some competition, some tough results that actually kind of put us to think about what's happening and what's going on.
Yeah.
So let's quickly look at what happened there. And so obviously our result, which is Cagliari Genoa, ended 0-0. And we'll dive into the details. Just let me go through quickly what happened on match day 27 for Serie B.
Sure.
We had Parma-Pisa started on Tuesday. Am I reading that right? Yes. Sorry. Because I'm looking at February 28th and March 1st.
There were a few, yeah.
Yeah, so there were three on Tuesday. Parma-Pisa opened up with 0-1. So that keeps them a little bit behind, which it's upsetting, obviously, for Parma. Palermo-Ternana ended same 2 hours, so at 0-0. And the surprise, which was the pleasant opening for match day 27, pleasant for us because they're the ones that are kind of chasing us for the second spot, for Regina, that played at Cosenza, losing 2-1. So 2 Cosenza and 1 Regina.
Big derby win for Il Lupi.
Absolutely. It's actually all happened in injury time, and they were 1 under. So Regina was winning 1-0. And then I think on the
90th minute. Well,
90 plus 90th on the 1-1, and then 90 plus 2.
90 plus 2 for the second
was the 2-1, exactly. Then today, so March 1st for us recording, so I'm guessing you're going to listen to us commencing Thursday, March 2nd. We had Spal Frosinone. We were hoping that Spal would wake up after the loss against us, but that was too high of hopes, I guess. So Spal loses at home against Frosinone 2-0.
Yeah.
Perugia Como ended 0-0, mid-table type of clash, so it's okay. Didn't hurt anyone. Modena Ascoli 0-1, so Modena still not able to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Ascoli once in a while, as we already know, it's like a tough team to beat, and away won at Modena. Yep. Cittadella Brescia, which I was expecting perhaps that our friend Jake from Città Calcio USA were able to get some of the 3-pointers. Actually were stopped at home against Brescia. Remember, Brescia was on a free fall.
Very much struggling, yeah.
Yeah, but they managed to get this 1 point, so I guess it's very important for them. in order to recoup some points that they lost in the last several match days. Then, of course, Genoa, Cagliari, Genoa, actually at Cagliari. So that's 0-0. We're going to talk about it in a second. Benevento loses at home against Südtirol. Südtirol again back at the game. And Bari, Venezia, another one, a little bit of an upsetting match. I quickly exchanged some messages with our friend Marco from the Rigore Pod, and he was saying that it was an awful match. I didn't have a chance to watch it because it was all at the same time during our match as well. But he did also mention that the refereeing was like horrendous. But we have seen bad refereeing in Serie B.
It's happened. Maybe it happened a little bit in our game today too. A little bit.
So quickly to look through the standings, we have Frosinone even stronger now at 58 points. 11 points down is Genoa at second spot. 1 point down, we have Bari at 46. Then fourth, we have Südtirol at 44, 2 points down below Bari.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 points below that, because also of their loss, is Regina on the fifth spot. Sixth is at 41 with Pisa, then Cagliari at 38, Parma at 37, even though there's also Palermo at 37, which are on the ninth spot, just I guess goal differential.
That's right.
Ascoli climbs at 36 on the 10th spot. Modena still hanging in there on the at 11th spot with 35, tied in points with Ternana, but sitting on the 12th spot. Cittadella 34 at the 13th spot. 14th spot, we have Como at 32, Perugia at 30, Venezia, which is starting to play outs, at 29, Benevento 27, and the last three, we have Brescia with 26, Cosenza 26, and Spal with 25. So we did see a turnaround for Cosenza.
That's right. They were at the foot of the table.
They were at the way bottom, as you just said, but they managed to at least get a little bit of a breather, still in the bottom three. But look at that, the tight race down there. It's just incredible.
It's really remarkable. I mean, it's, 4 points from safety, basically, for Cosenza.
Which is not impossible, because I had a quick message with Jake right now from Città Calcio USA, and he was saying to me that every time you think Cosenza are doomed, they turn out with these incredible results. And having said that, we're going to talk about it after, but I also had a quick message. Actually, I'm going to keep it for after with Raffaello about our next match against Cosenza. But anyways, so let's dive into quickly on our match. So what the recap you want to give?
Yeah, so I think you mentioned earlier at the very beginning, it kind of alluded to it being sort of a tough one today in multiple ways. And I guess like the first thing, even before arriving in Cagliari, it was a little bit tough today. So this match, weekday match, I suppose, I guess with the game on the weekend, we're not plans to travel earlier than the day of, and maybe a short little flight ish from Genoa to Cagliari. Yeah. But there was some real turbulent winds, I think, in Genova today, which prevented the flight directly from Genoa to Cagliari.
Actually, let me just step in there, because that's the rumor that started to come out from Telenord, which is
yes.
I'm going to have to slap them, essentially.
Right.
But they turned out which the winds were not calm, but they were definitely not high. And the truth was that there was a mechanical issue with the plane, which led to the delay. It happened to be just an hour and a half delay, and they just got another plane from the same charter that they have their private flight from, that came from Bergamo. End of the story. So the truth is, there wasn't that issue, but these super journalists that love to put like rumors in there and talk bad about the club, saying, "Oh, they're so badly deserved." I was just wanted to go to Genoa and punch them in the face.
There were like a whole set of additional rumors from that too, like, oh, well, they might be traveling to Milan and then they're going to fly from Milan. So I guess we all got fooled on that one a little bit earlier today.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we made it intact to Cagliari in time. Pretty good traveling support too from the Genoa fans. Did you get like the final count? I know Will was saying there was like 250 plus. but it sounded like more than that. It looked like more than that from
I think it was around the 280 mark, but I
280.
mean,
Okay.
it for apparently to go to Cagliari for that amount of number of people, especially let me
On a
remark that
weekday.
even though it was understood, yeah, it was a midweek working day,
Yeah.
evening, 280 is a lot.
Yeah.
That means a lot of people that had to take time off, perhaps some sleep there, maybe not, I don't know, but and you could hear more the Genoani than the Cagliaritani.
You definitely could. And there's certainly like a small section that was full Genoani the whole time. So I guess getting to the match itself, this was one I thought this was kind of an interesting take from some of our fellow kind of Genoa fans, but there was some perspective on this and getting some rumors on what the starting lineup would be that we're maybe playing this game a little bit more conservatively. Was that something that kind of surprised you at all, Fabry? I know that was.
Well, well, okay. First of all, I'm not a big fan of the 3-5-2. And I have to admit that in this case, it was the best approach that Gilardino got it very well. And indeed, in the first half, it was probably the better half on the Genoa side. Nevertheless, I do want to remark that we had a lot of main players that were actually off, or off meaning like injured.
That's exactly right.
So go on.
Well, there was, as you mentioned, I think we were talking before the pod. We don't know the severity of these things as far as we can tell. There was, as most of us are getting, or at least I'm getting my news today, it's pretty much from Instagram. And Realta Genoa broke this news. Was it that yesterday or was that 2 days ago? That
I'm going to say 2 days ago from Realtà Genoana, yeah.
So there's this rumor about extended injury delays impacting Coda and Oramu for several weeks. Maybe was it even a couple of months? I think.
No, what
Was it
well, what I heard was for at least a month, which meant to
Yeah.
see them back after the international break, which
Right.
means for the Regina match on March 31st.
So Mitch, would it be like the next 3 games or something?
Mhm.
So that was the rumor. I don't think we know exactly the level, if that's a true thing. The club has not said anything formally about it, but they were not in the lineup today. And so there's obviously something happening there. And I can't recall, was there anybody else kind of from a key standpoint that was not available? I know we were hoping to see Ekuban, but I did not see him on the team sheet.
No, Ekuban is a little bit still early. I mean, he just started to work with a group. So even Gilardino said in his interview pre-match, he did say that it'll take some time to fully get him in line per se, or at the same level at least, anyways. Obviously, we still have. I'd like to see a little bit more transparency from the club, but I don't think they do it on purpose. It's just maybe just. It's not set up that way. Nevertheless, Il Sanker is still out. As you said, Aramo and Coda, of course. We have Hefty that is still, I was expecting him to be there, but probably he's still not fully recovered.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a surprise kind of squad omission as well, just not see Hefty in there at all. And I guess Brian Bocci is the other player.
Bocci, we know, yeah, exactly. And then obviously Bani. So we saw Vogliacco in place of, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought Bani started in this match, but he was subbed off at the half.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I get confused with this 3 at the back.
Well, the formation's kind of hard to read exactly what it is. Like different places seem to want to think it's different things. The only thing I think that anybody can agree on is that we have 3 central defenders.
Yeah, that's true.
In the lineup. So
if it's true, we have the 3-5-2. I'm guessing it would be Vogliacco at the middle, Bani on the right, Dragosi on the left, or vice versa.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. Then the 4 in the middle, obviously, the central ones were Vrendrup and Badel, because Strootman was another one that was not called up apparently for a last minute flu type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Then we had Sabelli and Criscito on the right side and on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that was a 3-4. And now the 2-1 or three. Well, they said 3-5-2. See, like if I'm the one I'm looking at right now, it says 3-4-2-1.
Yeah, me too.
Which is what I thought I saw also on the pitch.
Yeah.
So the two supporting the striker were Jagiello to the right and Goodmanson to the left, and Puskás as a striker.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it was a match where I think maybe we were in some way shorthanded. It's a tough game, right? You're playing at Cagliari midweek, just coming off of another match, obviously. We've got a couple of players that are not there. Actually, when you list out those three players specifically, like those are three really, really important players on our senior squad that are kind of relatively recently not available. And the Bonney injury, I don't know if we know a whole lot more from that, but that's something obviously we want to keep really close tabs on too. So
keeping fingers crossed.
Difficult kind of match leading into it just by itself. It was, I think, a decent overall performance from Genoa. I felt still a little bit disappointed with the draw at halftime or at full time, but I know there were many Genoani that were actually really kind of feeling like it was job well done today, knowing that like what we needed to do more than anything else is keep Cagliari at arm's length and make sure they can't easily overtake us and get a positive result. And I think ultimately that is what happened today for sure. There was a little bit of nerviness in the first half. I think Cagliari's pressing really kind of showed some positive signs, and for them anyway. Martinez almost had a terrible error where he kind of misplaced the ball, almost passed it directly to a Cagliari player, but thankfully he had kind of kicked it so firmly that the ball kind of bounced right off of his shin or whatever, and didn't end up being a problem. And there are one or two instances kind of along those lines. But it was pretty close as a contest overall. There was a lot of hand waving and controversy. I think there were two moments as a Genoa fan, you kind of have to just smile after this one. Being frustrated a little bit after full time is, I guess, sort of normal. But I think you kind of just have to be glad we came out with a point. And that's not at all to say that Cagliari dominated this match or anything close to it. But, think about it like that way. We almost had a really bad goalkeeper error, kind of got some lucky circumstances in that the player couldn't even play the ball, essentially. Don't forget, they had an awarded penalty that was then, I think, readjusted to be a spot kick after seeing where the foul took place. So this was one that a lot of Genoa fans were really upset about. Sabelli we've seen this before from him. I think Regina was another match like that. I know Hans in the group chat was furious, and I think everybody kind of was, because it did seem very much a needless foul that was whistled at the time. But they basically took the penalty away after looking at it again. Later on in the second half, they had an opportunity for more or less like a tap in, but the player that had scored, I think, was the one that was adjudged to be offside. If it wasn't him, regardless, another player moving forward was adjudged to be, too close to the action. And so after they're scoring a goal, they take that down. So we kind of dodged two different bullets. Both of them are effective. It's good to kind of have the result that we ended up getting with in this match. So.
Well, to add to that, I agree with that. I'm just going to add only the fact that, in my opinion, in the first half, there was a little bit of an edge on our side more than on their side. The second half, Ranieri put in a formation that then I have to applaud Gilardino, which he changed the defense to a 4, but then he had to fix it by introducing Haps. Yes. And that brought it back to a little bit of a better balance. Okay. So it was interesting to see this reading the match on the fly, which is always what we were kind of sad or contemplating when we had Blesson.
Mm-hmm.
But the first half, I can't remember at what point, perhaps 2/3 in of the first half, I remember seeing like predominance with respect to anyways on the ball possession. We had like something around in the range of 77-80% almost. And you could see that also. I mean, obviously there were some moments where Cagliari would wake up, but the first half, it seemed like it was totally under control. Nothing very serious and dangerous other than that one ball right at the end of the first half where friggin' Puskás does not able to be a striker, fully striker. I think ultimately what I want to say about Puskás, great striker, but he's not a Genoa striker.
The league leaders who have it, Puskás. So Genoa looking to respond. Puskás really should have done better there. It's set up nicely for him.
It just, I don't know what happened there either, because it was a pretty point blank opportunity. And look, it was a strong hand to the ball from the keeper, but like that seemed like a certain goal. You know, how much space did he have? And I don't think he really had time to think about whether to place it or what to do. And unfortunately, it was in the end, although a powerful, like a relatively tame shot, just because it was pretty easily within the reach of the keeper. He didn't have to overly extend himself all that much or anything else. So that was kind of a bummer. But as you mentioned, it's not, unfortunately, too much of a surprise either. So,
and to finish, what I wanted to add to that was absolutely, it's not necessarily only for what you said, meaning the goal that was disallowed, the penalty that was taken back because it was actually outside the box, not in the box.
Right.
But we also must not forget that in matches like this, our opponents are, as we always say, are always going to put their best and whatnot. We were away, so on the road at Cagliari, so we know it's not easy. And actually, if I didn't look at the stats, but I think in the last 3-4 matches, Ranieri managed to win almost, if not all, almost all. So they're just more crying on the road type of results.
They'd had a few draws recently, but they did win against Benevento a few weeks ago.
Right. So my point is also, if you look at all the teams out there in Serie B, alongside Genoa, Cagliari is the one that is set to be set, meaning on the paper with the players that they have, to return essentially back to Serie A immediately. Then obviously the season turned out way more different for almost everybody, from the surprises of Südtirol and Frosinone that nobody would have ever even expected, to the disappointments of Venezia and Cagliari included, and Parma, to mention just a few.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why it was going to be a tough match too, because this is one of those teams that has certainly capabilities, and as you mentioned, I think fairly, Ranieri seems to be kind of getting a little bit more under his feet than where the direction the club was going before. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought the Haps introduction was the one memorable substitution in my mind, in terms of just seeing a player's impact. I remember, even with him coming on, you could kind of see a little bit more of just like his ability to kind of help be involved, add some pace, change the dynamism a little bit with how we're kind of playing.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned as well, like with this being a tough match, this was also like another one of those classic like physical Serie B matches where, like, I mean, how many times I don't know if this is just deja vu or something, but I felt like Martinez got clattered like 3 times. There was a play,
but he didn't even need to save anything. He didn't even get any ball that he needed to save at all.
No, yeah. I don't think there was any real goal threat at all from Cagliari, which was, well, I guess you can't completely say that because they did have a goal that was disallowed, but it was also a very clear offside. Like, you kind of knew as soon as they scored the goal, they celebrated.
So it doesn't count, right?
But
let me also add one more. I was thinking about that header that was just out, but from Sturaro, which if it was done perhaps by a striker or maybe someone just a little bit, I don't know. I'm not saying that Sturaro is not capable.
No, but He's not the first choice guy to take that either.
Gudmundsson's crossing, and the chance for Sturaro. And he's unmarked there. The Genoa captain, you really expect him to score. That was a glorious chance, and he's put it a good meter wide.
I mean, also, don't you remember that play in the first half where I think Dragoshin headed it on to Bani?
Yes.
It wasn't exactly for that's speaking of guy. Well, actually, that's not very fair to Bani. I feel like he'd be a guy you may want to have a header on, but yeah, I mean, it ends 0-0. Again, like my initial reaction personally was a little bit of disappointment, but I think you have to kind of look at this match within the context of the season, who we're playing against, and maybe not a lot of rest or preparation time in a short week.
And the injuries.
Yeah, and the injuries that are there. And to your point, it's not like we put up a total stinker today. I think
no, not at all. I mean, obviously the shots on goal are what they are. I think in my stats, I have 1 for Genoa and 0 for Cagliari.
Yeah.
But I still think it was a difficult match from both sides. They were both careful to each other. They They both stopped each other essentially. But our issue has always been, and it's showing in this match as well, the fact of not being able to conclude any type of action into the box. While we are at it, we might as well, we have an audio clip from Tobias Salvai, which is our guest from episode 17, he's in Scotland, Edinburgh in Scotland, from the Genoa Club UK, and he has a quick recap of his analysis for the match.
Hello Lanterna Boys, this is Tobias speaking to you from Edinburgh. I've been asked by Fabrizio to do a little game review of the Cagliari-Genoa game played yesterday night, finished for 0-0. As I'm speaking to you from an airport, I would like to start from an airport, as you can hear the announcements. And what I wanted to say is that it's really remarkable the way that Genoa played in Cagliari, taking the nightmare of the travel, that they had to get there with a charter flight, not departing or departing very late. Lots of defections in the team. The game started really well for Genoa. Cagliari, both teams actually approached the game with a kind of a 3-5-2. Genoa was more of a 3-4-1-2, and Genoa, after the very first 3 minutes of the game, already taking control of the ball or the ball possession. Cagliari was literally trenched in their back. They played with a very defensive 5-3-2. So we're talking of a lineup that was really scared about our link-up play, and Genoa managed to keep possession of the ball for 75% over the very first 30 minutes, let's say. Then we had our usual blackout, where we lost a bit of distances in the midfield, and Cagliari took a bit of courage. So the last 15 minutes of the first half, we really suffered their sort of initiative. However, the biggest chances of the first half came from us with a nice shot from Puskás, and we seemed like more dangerous than them, even though we all know the problems of this team. They struggle to score, and they struggle to somewhat be dangerous when they reach the last 20 meters. Second half started really badly for Genoa. Gilardino decided to change the lineup, taking also the fact that Bani was injured, and he decided to go for a defense at 4, which led then to giving a lot of space to Cagliari strikers. And Ranieri, Cagliari's manager, was being very smart to enter Nathan Nandez, a brilliant player. He got nothing to do with Serie B. That guy is a top Serie A player. And with his initiative on the right wing, we suffered for a good 15-20 minutes. Then Gilardino went back to the defense at 3, and towards the last 10 minutes of the game entered Salcedo and Dragush. or Dragic. I never learned how to pronounce it properly. And with the two of them, to be honest, I have to say that Genoa managed to gain control of the ball again and created a few dangers. There was a very clear chance of Sabelli, and there was a very clear chance as well, a very good header from Sturaro. I think it's a gain point. Cagliari is a very strong side. We kept them behind. They had, they were playing with all of the motivation to keep on hoping for a direct promotion. We killed that for them. Yes, the Bari result is not encouraging. Having Bari just at one point kind of force you to win at home against Cosenza. But it's also true that if you want to go to Serie A, you gotta win at home against Cosenza. So I'm really faithful and I'm really happy for what's going on. And I really hope we're gonna manage to recover some of the defections that we had and be ready for the next 3-4 games, which are quite important. And I'm quite proud to say that I'll be present for the Genoa Ternana game, which I think is gonna be vital for our season. Thank you very much for listening, and Forza Genoa.
Thank you, Tobia. That was an amazing recap of the match. Always love your ideas and your analysis on, and every time that you also come into our chat and give your support and your comments around. I like this guy, like anybody else, mind you, but anyways, so at the end, Cagliari 0 and Genoa 0. It brings the Bari a lot closer. People are saying we're scared about Bari, which is true, but let's remember also Bari compared to Genoa has no pressure because their main goal was just to survive, essentially.
Yeah.
I think another team that we do have to worry a little bit, because it's another one that is not worried too much. So they're very playing lightly. Is our super surprise of Südtirol?
I know. Well, look, like there's not that many points separate. Südtirol like 3 points back from us?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we lose, they win. All of a sudden we're level on points.
That's right.
So I think obviously like this is a point isn't a terrible result away at Cagliari. I don't think at all.
No.
But we do need to make sure we get our results in place in these upcoming games too.
That's actually a good point there, Matt. Let's hear a quick audio actually sent from Will. He was our guest a couple of weeks ago, episode 35, and he's like a member of the Gradinata Nord that went to Cagliari and see his perspective for the match at Cagliari.
Hi guys. Just went back from Cagliari. I'm in Pisa at the moment, Pisa railway station. Just finished to watch the game again because I think the away fan sector of Cagliari is something horrendous. Never seen a stadium so ugly before in my life. Sector like that is kind of shitty, but anyway, let's not talk of what I couldn't see. Let's just talk about a bit of the match. I think we've been like defensively perfect. I don't recall any shoot from them, which is really good. I saw the missed occasion of Sabelli, and I would love to kill him, to strangle him, because a Syria player, a professional player, a pro cannot miss that chance. I think we missed a penalty on Sturaro and nobody saw that. And it was a golden point. I'm really happy. I wanted to see win again in Sardinia, but unfortunately didn't go that way. But we didn't lose either, which was really, really important. This is a platinum point, and I'm really, really, really happy.
Thank you, Will. That was a great perspective, actually, from someone that went to the match and actually re-saw it again. And it's important to see that point was quite important. Listen, we have a streak of 3 so we talked about the international break happening on the weekend of the 24th, if I'm not mistaken. So we have 3 matches that are quite important for us, because I think we have to aim. I don't want to say this too loud, but if we want to keep the pace on the second spot, I'll tell in a second who we have against, but I think we have to aim for the full slot. So we have first is on Monday, and we can quickly talk about it after, obviously, because that's our next opponent, which is Cosenza, at home on Monday. Then after that, we have Genoa Ternana, so still another match on at home. That will be played on Sunday, so a week after or 6 days after the Cosenza match.
Yep.
And then after that, on the weekend, sometimes because the dates were not released. Oh, yes, they have. Or no, they haven't been released yet, I guess. Anyways, it's on March 18th. What I have is Brescia, Genoa.
Brescia. Yeah. Yep.
So at Brescia, again, 3 matches from now. So we've seen a waking up from Brescia based on the fact that they tied at Cittadella. But, these are 3 matches that technically on the paper are not impossible.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, and it's obviously like we talked about, of course, Frosinone are pretty far ahead of the pace, but you want to get to that place, to your point, where you're going to put the team in a position to kind of avoid some of those psychological concerns or fears if we were to start dropping points and all of a sudden you see other teams kind of leapfrogging us again. I think there's a lot more mental fortitude in this team than will let that happen. But these are 3 games that we should try as best we can to consolidate and get all 3 points from each of them. Ternana will be a challenging one, obviously just knowing that we had lost there earlier in the season. But it's big, and in Cosenza, I think they present kind of an interesting one for us too. This is a game. Obviously, Genoa are going to be favored in this match. We had a decent match last time we played them away from home, but you never know with a game like this, and we really have to make sure we take care of business, so to speak. So it'll be interesting.
As I mentioned earlier on, and I'm going to quote him. So I had a message from Raffaello. So he was supposed to be our guest on this episode, but because it's an express and because of his busy schedule and whatnot, we'll probably have him next episode. So we'll kind of like shift them around. Instead of having the guest for the pre-match, we're going to have the guest for the post-match. But nevertheless, he says, Fabry, we're not going to be coming to Genova to lose. Obviously, we're hungry for points because we're going to try to win. So I see that this match can be difficult. I'm not expecting necessarily you guys. Actually, his words. You guys are strong, and I suppose that it's a high probability that you guys are going to win. And actually, he said you guys are the strongest, and I even foresee that you have high likelihood to finish first. Now, that to happen is still we need Frosinone really to drop points like crazy, but
that would be nice.
But yeah, what I'm trying to say with this is also based on Raffaello's comments is we shouldn't expect Cosenza to come and say, okay, here's the goal and go ahead and do whatever you want.
Well, right. Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I think I used that phrase too much now. I'm like getting self-conscious about it, but like, and you never know in Serie B.
Keep that thought there for a second. I wanted to include also a quick clip, audio clip from Raffaello with his, comments for the next match.
Hi guys, Monday's game between Genoa and Cosenza is gonna be hard fought by both teams. Cosenza is gonna try to bring at least 1 point home. We are very confident after winning the derby. We're really hoping to have finally found our bomber. Let's see guys, let's enjoy the game.
Thank you very much, Raffaello. That's just to give you a perspective also of how Cosenza is going to come and how Serie B is so, unexpected results even from different teams from different levels of the ranking.
I mean, to your point earlier, like when you think you've got Cosenza down, they might be able to pop back up, and
look at Regina, right? They had it in their hands. They didn't finish it, like as we said it many times, as they were just winning 1-0, and then on a 90th plus like 92nd minute, they lost it. They actually lost the match.
2 goals in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes.
It's crazy. So we have to continue to maintain that discipline, but I think obviously the objective for these next 2 matches should be 3 points each. Ternana again will be a little bit more challenging than Brescia and Cosenza, but it's still kind of a 3 points or bust type of a week.
I think so too. Yeah, it's important to keep and maintain that second spot. Otherwise, the playoffs it's just something that I just prefer not to even think about.
That shouldn't even be on our minds. I'm very scared of that.
Also, because when you have teams like at this point, Cagliari is a high likelihood for them to be in the playoffs.
Right.
And playing against Cagliari in the playoffs is not the easiest thing to do.
No. I mean, we saw how difficult they made it for one match. And again, you're right. We had the better chances. We actually had chances that were coming in, but I don't know. I think you got to be careful.
So the next match, which is match day 28, what do we have coming? So obviously we talked about the Genoa, the Genoa match against Cosenza.
Mm-hmm.
But the next one coming up, sorry, I'm just pulling it up. I wasn't prepared. So I'm myself.
Next week.
So this is for the weekend coming up. We have Pisa Palermo. So that's going to be an interesting one because you see Pisa that is still coming back up and Palermo that is like edging there with the playoffs. Or do we want to do playoffs or not? That's what it's looking like.
Mm-hmm.
Regina Parma is going to be quite an interesting match as well, because Parma, every time there's a big match, they always wake up and show the strength that they have. Ascoli Bari, I can only hope that, even though I don't necessarily like too much the Ascoli team itself, but we need them to stall a little bit, Bari for us for a little bit. Brescia Cagliari, it's another one which you don't know what Brescia is happening, which is going to be one of our next opponents anyways. And Cagliari, as we just seen them right now, are going to be playing to get more and more and more points as possible. After that, we have Como Modena and mid-table match, Frosinone Venezia. So Venezia was not able to stop Bari, perhaps based on lots of instances, including the refereeing issue that is happening in Serie B that we've heard, also from Marco, as I mentioned to you. But maybe they're able to stop Frosinone a little bit, even on the tie. It would be great. Frosinone, listen, stop. Spal Cittadella, so our friend Jake from Città Calcio USA is going to be visiting at Ferrara, a troublesome Spal.
He's going to be there.
What's that?
He's going to be at the match.
No, I don't think so. But,
okay. Yes. Yeah. Cittadella will be visiting there. Yeah.
Right. So what I'm trying to say with that is I didn't expect that Aldo, which is the new coach that replaced De Rossi, was able to do a turnaround with both Genoa or Frosinone. Right. But maybe they're able to do. I don't know. I'm just speculating, right?
No, you're right. I mean, it's fair. Also, like the first match in charge, and you've got two of the
two big ones
in the league.
The top two
exactly. Challenges. Yeah.
Then we have Südtirol Perugia, which is a reborn Perugia. Remember, not too long ago they were last one with the super surprise of Südtirol.
Yep.
Ternana Benevento, which Ternana, let's don't kid ourselves. Even though they're in a super mess right now, the president spitting on the fans, and I don't know if you heard
tabloid style stuff. It's crazy.
The president was like some piece of work. Anyways, I heard this interview that he had, and just talking shit, if I may say, just horrible. Anyways, and last but not least is actually Cosenza Genoa.
There we go. Yeah, that's right. The Monday game.
So what should we say? Should we go on with the predictions? Are we ready for that?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, like I've been kind of more conservative these last couple of weeks, but I kind of think that that's how this game is going to go somehow. I think to your point, uh, again, I mentioned this before the last podcast, but it's going to be kind of interesting to see how Cosenza approach the match too, because if they're going to really be looking for a point, it's going to be a different thing. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Genoa, obviously, you guys probably are sick of hearing me say this, but I think we've got the capabilities to win. I think 1-0 is probably the scoreline. And I think we will get Goodmanson on the score sheet once again. So those are that's my prediction against Cosenza.
So I'm hoping that Goodmanson this time around, as I've said that a couple of times back, but we're unfortunately a little bit too much Goodmanson dependent. So when Goodmanson is not having a great day, we're not having a great match.
Yeah.
And Goodmanson, for example, today, whether it was because of the Cagliaritani on the defense or because it was not his great day, he was a little bit he was definitely not on the top players. Which I believe that, anyways, with the match against, we didn't mention that, but in the match against Cagliari, Vogliacco, in my opinion, was the best player. Having said that, I do see it's going to be quite difficult. I don't predict to have the same predictions that I had with Cagliari, where I said it's either going to be a win or a tie, and we ended up tying, obviously. But I think that there is a desperate need of a win. I'm sorry for Raffaello and Cosenza, our friends of Cosenza, but we're both hungry for the points, and I get that. But it's just the nature of the beast, and even Raffaello said this a while back. It's not against Genoa that they are aiming to get the best of the points, but obviously they're going to play against all teams independently and not looking at anybody being the lower one, right? So yeah, I do agree with you. It's going to be a win. I'm hoping it's going to be a 2-0, because if you look at the goal differential, you get Cosenza, to be the worst. I'm going to say the worst defense of Serie B, with the most goal against, with 43 goals, and they have 23 goals. So it's the second worst offense of Serie B after Benevento. So I'm going to say it's us having like the second best defense. I think we will see a 2-0. 2-0, depending also on a lot on who's the starting 11 going to be. But because we don't really know, right? But I think we're going to have someone from the midfield that is going to be scoring, and hopefully I'll add Goodmanson, because I want to pump him to have that goal.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So yes, I guess this is a wrap for our Express. Look at that. This was super fast. Incredible.
We actually did it. I cannot believe it. I can't believe my own eyes. We're here.
Let's hope that some good news comes from the infirmary, from the injury aspect. Yes. We'll have a little bit of a better understanding, perhaps, after the match of Cosenza, of what's happening. Also, because being today Wednesday, the match is on Monday. A lot of things can also happen up until then. But until then, thank you for listening to us. Reach out on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Drop us any comments, likes, and whatnot. Send us a DM if you want to be joining the We Are Genoa WhatsApp chat, which is a chat only in English for Genoa. And let's hope for the greatest match against our friends at Cosenza. Raffaello, listen to us, and we'll talk to you very soon. And never forget, always and forever, Forza Genoa. You've listened to La Lanterna, a spotlight on Italian football, a podcast powered by Genoani Si Resta. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.